Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to another edition of The Professional Fan. I am the Professional Fan, Mike Antonase. I want to thank you so much for joining me this evening. I am looking quite unprofessional this evening, so apologies ahead of time for that. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, and share. This content helps us out a lot. We are well on our way to 500 subscribers. Trying to hit that so we can get monetized. We're an up-and-coming show, so greatly appreciate anybody who stops by, engages, drops a comment, likes, subscribes, all that good stuff. So please, on your way in, give us a like, all that good stuff. And tonight, we got some huge news, huge news. Shedeur Sanders is going to be starting this Friday in the Browns' first preseason game. And because of that, we're probably going to see him a lot in joint practices, which I'm going to be going into as well. What to expect, all that good stuff. But yeah, guys, I'm going to dive right into it. Joseph had a live earlier today, broke the news. I'm going to give my kind of thoughts, reactions, all that good stuff. But yeah, huge opportunity for Shedeur Sanders. It might be the most watched preseason game of all time at this rate. He has everything to gain from this, guys. I mean, I know much can be said about it's just preseason, all of that. But at the end of the day, like, this is his chance to show a lot through preseason, but also the joint practices where the coaches can really get like a good feel for how he looks against, a team that's not going to pull his punches with Carolina. And that's a young, hungry team over there too. So I think Shedeur really has so much to gain from this. And I think it's going to be really exciting to see how he responds. I mean, he knows this is a huge opportunity for him to cement himself as a QB2 because, let's be honest, Flacco is going to be starting the season. I do not anticipate him to finish this season. He hasn't done that since he left the Ravens. I don't think he even did that when he signed with Denver. He hasn't played a full 16-game season, let alone a 17-game season, since they've extended the season by a game. But man, I am so excited to see Shedeur Sanders. I'm so excited to see some of these young receivers. He's built up a lot of chemistry with some of our UDFAs, Gage Lavardin. Again, I apologize if I mispronounce that. And Luke Froya. We're probably going to see some of the rookies in action. I don't know how much we'll see of Mason Graham, but I imagine a little bit because generally the Browns do like to play the rookies a lot in every position group in the preseason, no matter where you were taken. The last time we had a first-round pick was Greg Newsome 5 years ago. So, yeah, they played Greg a good amount in the preseason, so expect to see Mason, expect to see Carson, I expect to see Harold Fannin Jr., man. I can't wait to watch Shedeur Sanders. I hope he hits for Harold Fannin in a crossing route for a tutty. Both young guys that I'm really excited for the Browns. Still shocked that we were able to get Harold Fannin or Shedeur Sanders for that matter. We got some people in chat. Humble says, my guy Mike, what's up, brother? How you doing this evening? Oh, I love you too, bro. Oh, look, Tara showed up. That's professional Tara behind me. She's camera shy, so apologies. She's not looking into the camera. What up, Paramjot? What's up, brother? Shedeur takeover. Damn right. And I could not be more excited. I mean, listen, guys. I mean, and with Dylan Gabriel nursing a hamstring injury now, too, like, he very well could start this game if he looks good, start the second game. I mean, doors open, guys, and this has always been an open quarterback competition. Now, I know, some Colorado fans have been joining the show recently, and I want to thank you guys so much for joining us. Try and be as unbiased as we can and just report the news. Joseph and I are both huge Shedeur Sanders fans. But I kind of wanted to just come out and say I kind of saw some news from another team that drafted a rookie quarterback, and I think it's important to note. Tyler Shuck, who was a very early second-round pick for the New Orleans Saints, is just now getting first-team reps. And we're on the precipice of joint practices in preseason. So it's not been unique to Shedeur. It has almost been more unique that Dylan Gabriel has gotten a lot of first-team reps. And, he looked okay at times. He looked good sometimes. He looked bad. Shedeur's been pretty consistent. So I think if he looks good in the joint practices, guys, he looks good in preseason, it's a wrap. And wanted to talk about some things to watch, some things to possibly see and look out for in the preseason game. Aside from Shedeur, obviously that's going to be the biggest narrative. That's what everybody's going to be talking about, as you should, because it's the most important narrative, I guess, we got going on in the NFL right now is Shedeur Sanders, other than the Caleb Williams drama. I might have been wrong about Caleb, guys. I'm going to Professional Mike might have had a oopsie daisy on Caleb Williams. We'll see how he looks under Ben Johnson. But some things to watch is how does Bryce Young look? I imagine they'll have him out there. I imagine they'll see how he does. How does Bryce Young look for Carolina? I want to see how Tet McMillan looks. He was pretty high on a lot of people's draft boards. On the Browns side, what I think is going to be interesting to watch is obviously how Shedeur manages the offense, but that's going to be the most important thing is how does he look managing the offense? How does he look working through his progressions? How does he look with real pressure that is attempting to hit him? It's going to be huge. And, our second team offensive line isn't bad. They might have some of the starters out there with Shedeur, depending on if Carolina plays their starting defense. I'm not sure. Generally, the Browns like to put more of their starting players out on the last game of the preseason. That being said, the Browns are now incredibly young, and they have a lot of unproven players that need as much practice as they can get. Jamari Thrash was in our unofficial depth chart as a starting receiver, which I'm excited for. If he's out there with Shedeur, I'd like to see what that looks like. Jamari, I think, has potential to make a big impact as the starting slot receiver this year. A couple players you probably won't see. A lot of the really, seasoned vets. You probably won't see Myles Garrett. You won't see a Denzel Ward. You won't see a Greg Newsome. You definitely won't see Joel Bitonio or any of those guys. But will you see a Harold Fannin Jr.? Yes. Will you see a Cedric Tillman? Yes. You probably won't see Jerry Jeudy. But you will see a lot of the starting offense because the starting offense is so young and so unproven that they need as much practice as they can get. Really excited to see Dylan Sampson and some live reps, see how he takes it. He's had up and down moments in training camp, but I think he's pivotal now with the Quinshon Judkins situation to the Browns' modicum of success that they can get this year. So that's going to be something to watch. And how he looks coming out of the backfield, how he looks blocking, how he looks in the pass game. And, man, I want to know what you guys think. What are you guys excited for the Browns' first preseason game? Obviously, we're going to see a lot of play action. We're going to see, the skeleton of Kevin Stefanski's 2.0 or 3.0 offense, whatever we're at now. It's not going to have all the bells and whistles, as it were, but we're going to see a lot of the wide zone stuff and see how it looks again, man. Because I remember watching our last season's preseason games. It was rough. It was rough just watching that offense operate. Things that the Browns might be looking for Shedeur. Now, obviously, if he has a stellar game, great. But the Browns really value in the first preseason game having a clean operation. Do you not, not getting a bunch of flags, not getting false starts, getting the right play in, going through progressions. This is what the coaching staff is going to be looking for from Shedeur Sanders particularly and specifically. They're not, if he has a okay game, that's great. But if he had a clean game with, okay numbers, that's a win, because the Browns really care about just operationally. How do they look? How does Shedeur Sanders look operationally? How well does he know the playbook at this point? Those are things that are going to matter a shit ton to Kevin Stefanski. I'll tell you that right here. Also, how does rookie running back Dylan Sampson's vision look? That's going to matter. How does Harold Fannin Jr. look as a blocker, not just as running routes, but as a blocker? And I wouldn't be surprised if they have him line up at X for a couple plays, because I know they are flirting with the idea. And if that happens, that's nuts. I think he's capable. I mean, this dude can run routes like a receiver, and he's just huge. Not a lot to be said about Carolina's starting defense if they have it out there, man. I'll be honest, like, Carolina is, at least when it comes to roster, Carolina, in my opinion, is probably one of the weakest rosters starting. So I can only imagine what their second and third team looks like. I don't think it will look good. I'm not going to give a score prediction for a preseason game because I think that's silly. But we could really see Shedeur play most of this game, guys. I mean, we signed Tyler Huntley, I almost think, solely for the preseason games, because they're not going to put Flacco out there. They're just not. Even if they have the first team offense out there, I highly doubt Joe Flacco is at the helm. Kenny Pickett's hurt. Dylan Gabriel's hurt. So besides that, you're not going to have Shedeur Sanders play 3 whole preseason games, because even though I know he wouldn't mind, because that's his character and that's just how he is as a person and a player. Even though he wouldn't mind, that's still kind of messed up to do if the Browns did it. So I highly doubt they're going to give Shedeur Sanders 3 whole preseason games of starting. I imagine he'll play maybe the first half. I'd be shocked if he comes out the second half, and then Tyler Huntley takes over the second half. So we'll probably have a whole half of football to watch Shedeur Sanders operate. And man, I'm super hyped. I don't think I've been this hyped for a preseason game. Don't get me wrong. I'm always hyped for the preseason because I'm a friggin' fanatic when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. But this is super unique in that, we haven't had a rookie quarterbacks, plural, in 7 years now? Something like that, since we drafted Baker. Yeah, 7 years, 2018 draft. So this is pretty big for Browns fans, not just Shedeur Sanders and the team, but just for our fandom in general. It's going to be really exciting to see what the young kids got, man. I think I'm hoping, and I think he'll be very successful. Let's see if we got any comments. Give me your take, guys. Given some things to suspect. Joint practices, by the way, that are going to be held in Carolina on their home turf before the preseason game matter more to the Browns than the preseason game. And I assume we're going to see a lot of Shedeur Sanders in that as well. I expect our defensive line to just ruin their joint practice as they usually do. It's unfortunate, man. When you're trying to run a normal joint practice and you got Myles Garrett on the other side, and now Mason Graham and Mike Hall, and Isaiah McGuire is an excellent, just a really good rotational player. It's really hard to run a normal joint practice and be like, damn, that's a sack. Write that up as a sack, So I'm excited to see how he looks in the joint practices specifically, because he might get a lot more first team reps in joint practice than we might see the first team actually in the preseason game. So, and I'm going to be covering that. I might go live 3 times technically this week because I'll probably be calling the preseason game at this point on Friday night, and that's usually when I have my second episode. So I'll probably be calling that. I'll probably give you some tidbits of what I'm seeing through joint practice with Carolina. And we do have 2 joint practices this year, so Shedeur is going to get a lot of work with some great players. We love Shedeur Sanders. Cleveland needs to play him more. Well, thank you for the comment, Fat Evan. I hope I said your name right. But yeah, they will. I mean, they're starting him completely in the preseason, and some for you to know. And what I said at the beginning of the show, if you're just tuning in, again, thank you so much for your comment. Some to remember is Tyler Shuck, who was taken in the second round by the New Orleans Saints, is just now getting first team reps. And while I think Shedeur Sanders' talent is far better than a normal 5th round pick, I also think that it's not unusual for a team to kind of slowly bring a player up to speed. So I don't think the Browns are, they're not railroading him. They're not, doing anything like that. They're just doing their normal process. And here he's looked excellent in training camp. He's looked like the best quarterback on the field. The Browns are happy to have him. And it seems Shedeur's happy to be part of the team. So you're going to see a lot of him in joint practice. You're going to see a lot of him out there in the preseason game. But yeah, no, I think he's the most talented quarterback we have, man. Like, I really do. And again, thank you for your comment. Let's see some other stuff. Some other stuff I'm excited to watch besides Shedeur Sanders with the preseason game is I want to see Carson Schwessinger in some live reps, man. That dude is going to be an animal. He looks like a first-round pick. He is looking better than Jahad Campbell in training camp right now. He looks like he's going to be everywhere. He looks like a super smart player. He's freakishly athletic. And I knew it. I was right, and I'm going to say it every time I was right about Carson Schwessinger. He was one of my draft darlings, dude. Like, he was one of my top guys on my board. UCLA product. Didn't get a lot of playing time until last year, and he just had a monster year. Just a year from hell. It was insane. Dude was just laying down people. 135 plus tackles. Just an absolute machine. So I hope that we get to see a little bit of him this Friday. Also, Mason Graham, 5th overall pick. How does he look in some live game situations? I don't know if they'll play him. They did play Greg Newsome a decent amount in the preseason when we drafted him, and that was the last first round pick we had. So maybe, but it's been a while since we've had a top 5 pick. So maybe they'll treat him like a first team starter and he won't be out there. But I'd love to see Mason Graham, see how he looks in live game reps and rushing the passer, stopping the run, even if it's just for a couple series. I hope we get to see that. I imagine we'll see a lot of Harold Fannin. I imagine we'll see a lot of Dylan Sampson, see what the young man's got. And I imagine we'll see a lot of these young receivers, man. And that's another thing, too, is this receiver battle's pretty open as well. Everybody talks and makes a big hullabaloo about the quarterback battle, as you should. But the wide receiver battle is just as important to Cleveland's present and future. Gage Leviathan has looked very good in training camp. UDFA out of South Carolina. He also played at Miami of Ohio. Luke Froya has looked very good in moments as well. UDFA out of Kent State, local product from Mentor. And then obviously we have second-year man out of Louisville, Jamari Thrash, Cedric Tillman, Deontay Johnson, who's looked very, I owe Deontay Johnson an apology. He's looked very productive in training camp, and he might be that veteran leadership we need in that receiver room because it's a lot of young guys, man. But besides Deontay, Gage Leverton and like Luke Froya battling for that last position, and it's a tight battle. So I think the preseason games are going to matter a lot because Caden Davis, he's not making the team. Yeah, he's going to the practice squad. He's a great practice squad guy. Michael Woods was waived, but he'll be back on the practice squad. David Bell is hurt. He'll be back on the practice squad. You know, damn shame about David Bell too. I thought he had a lot of talent coming out of Purdue. Tune in Sports. Thank you so much for joining, brother. Always great to have you. Always great to see you. No matter what show it is, folks. If you love the NBA and if you want to get your best dose of NBA Cavs focused content, go subscribe as well to my buddy Tune In Sports. He's saying Sanders is coming for quarterback one. I agree, man. I really think that this is his opportunity. His opportunity's been laid bare, and Shedeur's just got to reach out and take it. Yeah, he's got to prepare. Like if I'm Shedeur, I'm preparing like this is a real friggin' game, like the most important game of your life, because this is it matters, man. It matters for his job. I think, regardless, he's going to see the field at some point, no matter if he's QB2 or 3. But if he's QB2, he sees the field a lot sooner, and if he looks good, there might be no reason for Dillon Gabriel to ever step foot on the turf. You know what I mean? Thoughts on Tyler Huntley? That's a good question. My thoughts on Tyler Huntley is that Dillon Gabriel and Kenny Pickett are both hurt. They are not going to have Joe Flacco play a single down in the preseason. So they signed Tyler Huntley so they wouldn't have to have Shedeur Sanders out there for a whole game, let alone 3 whole games, not knowing when Dillon or Kenny are going to be healthy enough to actually have in-game reps. So they signed Tyler Huntley to they were like, here, man, we'll pay you some money. You've been here before. Go play in some preseason games, bro. The other 2 guys are hurt. That is it. That is the only reason Tyler Huntley is on this team. And, at first I was a little perplexed, but after Dillon was very limited with his hamstring and Kenny Pickett's still super limited with his hamstring, he's just showing up on the field, but he's not taking any reps in training camp. I was like, oh, okay, he's just a preseason body. And that's fine. I mean, Tyler Huntley knows what it is, but he's getting paid for it. So, it is his opportunity to show out, man. Shedeur Sanders is his opportunity to take it. It is absolutely his opportunity to take the helm, man. And from all intents and purposes, the team loves this kid. David Njoku has spoken highly about him. Myles Garrett, who is taking a he's always been a leader, but like if you're a Colorado fan and you're just coming out of Cleveland, you've probably heard of Myles Garrett. Everybody knows who Myles Garrett is. He's a future Hall of Famer, but he's never been like a super vocal leader. He's like the I'm going to lead by example kind of guy, which is fine because if you're leading by example, it's hard to do better than Myles Garrett's track record when it comes to on the field play. But he's really taking another step with his vocal leadership as the face of the franchise, which he is. And I think that's great for Myles. He stayed a couple days after training camp to help Shedeur Sanders. And he's the only quarterback that did it, that went to the liberty of staying after training camp to practice. And he was the only dude that Myles did that for. So I think that's super unique. What 3 things do I want to see from Shedeur? Clean operation, getting out of the huddle quickly, play clock management, all that good stuff. Super important for Kevin Stefanski is just clean operation. I want to see a pretty good completion percentage. 55 to 60% completion percentage, I think would pay dividends for Shedeur. And then I want to see him go through his progressions. But I also want to see him like get the ball out quick, accurate on time, all that good stuff, but also going through his progressions, not doing the one read thing, not holding the ball on too long. So just having a solid operation, because that's so important to Kevin Stefanski's offense. That's his bread and butter. If you can do those things, you'll go a long way with Kevin. Q-Dog's in the house. Welcome. Don't matter how the turtle got to the finish line, he's there. Can't wait, 12. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, here, that's how it happens. The NFL, sometimes your opportunity just arises. I mean, here, his number is 12. Tom Brady uh, got his opportunity from a freak injury. Bledsoe was looking great, and they were going far. The playoff team. Tom Brady got his opportunity, took it, never looked back. So very similar situation. I know this is just the preseason and training camp, but this could be his ticket to earning the job. And here, if he looks good in the regular season, man, the Browns aren't going to draft a quarterback. Like you know, they're a smart team. I know that they might not always act like it, but the Browns are a very smart run operation. Kevin Stefanski is one of the better coaches in the NFL. And, if they see good things from Shedeur Sanders, he's going to keep that job. And they'll just use those two first-round picks on other areas of need, receiver, and maybe a defensive end to pair with Miles. Because here, I love Miles, but, man, he's going to be 30 this year, guys. Even Superman aged in the comics, not to get nerdy, but, even Superman got old, man. Father Time's undefeated. Got to start finding the succession plan for Myles Garrett, which hurts to say. I mean, I wish Myles Garrett could be like the Tom Brady of the defensive end position and just play till he's like 45 and be great forever. But, that's not the way the news goes generally. When the opportunity is there, you have to take it and make management think about it. Absolutely. Absolutely true. Yeah, and they will, man. I mean, here, Kevin's got a lot more autonomy this season. I think so does Andrew Berry. They're just going to give the job to the best kid available. I mean, best rookie. And Shedeur Sanders has a massive opportunity to prove that he deserves that QB2 spot. Because I'm not going to kid you guys, and we're not going to kid ourselves. It is going to be Joe Flacco starting the season. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Joe Flacco is a excellent vet to learn from. We are at the point in our lives with the NFL that most of these veteran quarterbacks that are household names have gone by and by. Drew Brees gone, Phillip Rivers gone, Eli Manning gone, Tom Brady gone, Aaron Rodgers gone after this year probably. So Joe Flacco is a dying breed of quarterback. And I don't think there's anybody better to learn from than former Super Bowl champion Joe Flacco and seasoned NFL vet Joe Flacco. And, he might hit, I know the famous, I'm not a mentor kind of comments from Joe Flacco, but you just learn from being in the room with him. He's going to give you pointers. He's not like Joe Flacco's a nice guy. You know what I mean? It's fair for him to say that's not my job, because it's not. His job is to play football. But just being around Joe Flacco, these rookies will pick up what he's putting down. Joe Latman says, wide receiver and Caleb Downs. If Caleb Downs doesn't go number 1 overall at this rate, then yeah, I hope the Jaguars are just piss poor this year. Because Caleb Downs is worth it, dude. I haven't seen a DB out of Ohio State worth a high pick since Denzel Ward. Yeah, Caleb Downs is a friggin' animal. That dude looks insane out there. You think they didn't want to embarrass Dylan Gabriel? His recent play in training camp was low grade. No, I don't think that's it. I think optics aren't super important to the Browns, unfortunately. I think if he could, they would with him. His hamstring is hurt. The Browns, Q-Dog, don't have the luxury of playing the optics game with either rookie, Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel, because the fact of the matter is they do have 2 first-round picks next year. They have to figure out if one of them is a guy, a franchise quarterback, and they have to do it soon. Generally, when you pick a second-round quarterback or a third-round quarterback, you might give them a year. The Browns do not have that luxury because next year's year they have 2 first-round picks. So, They got to figure out what they got in these kids right now. Right now. They have no time, And it might be a little unfair to Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel. I actually feel bad for the position they're in because they are not going to have as much time to develop, learn the playbook, learn how an NFL week goes as some other quarterbacks might have. I know there's a lot more teams that start their rookies early nowadays. I'm not the biggest proponent of that. I mean, look at the Packers. Look at how the Green Bay Packers have operated for the past 30 years. You go from friggin' Bart Starr to friggin' Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love. Like, they have the quarterback formula down to a science. And I think it's a little unfair that Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders aren't going to be given the opportunity or time in order to develop properly. But I don't think they're going out to embarrass him. I think he really just can't go. And that's why Dillon Gabriel's not playing. Because if he could, he would be out there. Because the Browns need to figure out what's going on. Like, they have to figure out, hey, can Dillon Gabriel actually play the game of football at the NFL level? Can Shedeur Sanders do this at the NFL level? And they're both going to get some time. But that QB2 spot behind Joe Flacco is so important because, again, if one of them goes out there after Joe Flacco is benched, and it's going to happen, and they look good, they look really good, that quarterback 3 is never seeing the field, ever. If Shedeur Sanders wins that QB2 position, Joe Flacco's benched in week 6, maybe earlier. I don't know. I don't got a crystal ball, but I'm thinking week 6, week 7. And Shedeur Sanders goes out there and looks like a franchise quarterback. Dillon Gabriel's never getting an opportunity. So I think the Browns don't care about the optics. And if I'm Dillon Gabriel, I certainly don't give a shit about the optics. Like, if I'm Dillon Gabriel, I'm like, no, put me out there, bro. Like, I need to show that I can do this. I need to show what I got. I want this job. Because at the end of the day, I know we invested a 3rd-round pick. That seems high. For a quarterback, it is not very high. 3rd-round picks are cut all the time. For those of you who are long fans of the show or long watchers of the show at the very least, you'll know that I'm a big draft guy. For the stats of players, regardless of position, players that are picked in the 3rd round, only about 15% of them make it to a second contract with the initial team that drafted them. 15%. Think about that. And that's out of what? Round 3 is what? 50 to 100. So 50 guys, only about 6 make it to a second contract. Dillon Gabriel's spot, just because he is a higher draft pick, is not guaranteed. The OSU young wide receivers insane. Oh yeah, Jeremiah Smith, he's an alien, bro. I've never seen anything like him. Like, I thought Marv was like that, and I thought Malik Neighbors with LSU was like that. And then I watched Jeremiah Smith, and I'm just like wondering where they're making these dudes. Like, they're finding them at like Professor X's mansion. They're just like, hey, let me grab one of your X-Men. Every time a new wide receiver just pops up in OSU, it's just insane. Yeah, Jeremiah Smith is an alien. He's like Myles Garrett level of young talent. Like, that dude's gonna be nuts. If anybody has a chance to be the first overall pick in like 2 years, it's gonna be him. Those hamstring injuries take 3 to 4 weeks to fully heal, according to Coach LeGraire. Shout out Coach LeGraire. Best to ever do it in the Akron area. Shedeur could start all preseason. He could. And that's another reason why we signed Tyler Huntley. So he doesn't have to, because that's kind of unfair for Shedeur. I expect him to start every preseason if that's the case. But I don't think they want him playing 3 full preseason games. It's not conducive. I've never heard of people talk so much about the next year's draft picks more than the Browns media. That's a shame the season hasn't even started yet. I mean, I see your point, Q-Dog. It's more so... Okay, so think of it this way, right? The Browns haven't had a first-round pick in 4 years since we traded for Deshaun Watson. they're talking about it for a couple of reasons. One, it's exciting. It's exciting to have first round picks again. When we picked Mason Graham, it was super exciting. We haven't had a first round pick in a long time, you know. So just for the fandom, it is exciting to have those again. The Browns for a long time were a very, very, very bad team. Very bad team. We were a bad team last year, but we've at least been competitive for the most part under Stefanski's tenure. But for the longest time, the Browns were a really bad team, and the draft was really all we had to get excited about because it's hopium. We were on the hopium. No matter who it was, we'd be excited about it. The draft was all Browns fans had, man. I'm being serious here. And there's still a little bit left of that in the Cleveland media. Most of these media guys aren't like me and Joseph that have, been doing this. We've been doing this 3 years. We're still up and coming. We're still young at it. A lot of these guys have been doing this longer than I've been on this earth. Mary Kay Cabot's been doing it since she's 28, and she's, she started covering Bill Belichick when he was on the Browns, which I don't know if you knew that was the thing. It was. And a lot of these guys, Tony Grossi's like 1,000 years old. Shout out Tony Grossi. Love your show. But he's like 1,000 out here, and he's still covering the Browns. So a lot of these media personalities have a lot of old ways kind of etched into them, and it's hard to break. But there is a reason too. That's a real reason why they're doing it. You're right. This year hasn't started, and we're all excited for this year. Browns fans have no expectations for this year. It's exciting to, have hope for these young quarterbacks and these young players in general that we've drafted this year. We had a pretty high second round pick. Carson Schwessinger looks great. Mason Graham looks great. Shedeur Sanders has looked great. Harold Fanning Jr. I thought was a steal. Like, we have no expectations for this season, but it has to be said since there's this quarterback battle going on, and we don't know what it's going to look like with having no expectations, that the Browns do have 2 first-round picks next year. It is a narrative that kind of has to be talked about. We're not saying, I hope Shedeur Sanders is the guy. Like, I don't want to have to draft another quarterback. I guarantee in their heart of hearts, 90% of Cleveland media is on that same boat. But the thing is, it's got to be talked about, because when you have 2 first-round picks in a quarterback class that is going to be significantly better, because outside of on my board this past year, man, I had Cam Ward, I had Shedeur Sanders. That was it. Like, I did not like anybody else. Like, I didn't like Tyler Shuck. I didn't like friggin' Dylan Gabriel. I didn't like anybody else. I didn't. I thought that they were all like UDFA kind of guys. Quinn Ewers, all of them. I was like, I'm not a fan. Will Howard, I thought was okay, but like, next year there's 5 to 6 guys maybe that could be like starting caliber quarterbacks. So it's a narrative that has to be talked about. I don't know if they're doing it in a negative light. Some guys might, but some media members might be talking about it in a negative light, or like as a for sure thing that one of these young quarterbacks isn't going to be the guy. I'm not like that. I'm going to talk about it because it is something that has to be discussed. But I hope Shedeur Sanders is the guy. I think he's the most talented quarterback on the team right now. I'm a fan of him as a person. He seems like a great kid, like all around great kid. He's great as a leader. He looks good in training camp on the field. So I hope he's the guy, man. I would be friggin' ecstatic. And from a more analytical point too, Q Dog, like, I love, talking contracts. I love talking draft picks. I love doing all of that. The fact that the Browns would be paying Shedeur Sanders a 5th round rookie deal for the next 3 years, if we find out this year that he's the guy, gives us a bigger Super Bowl window. We can spend a lot more money on other high-end free agents to bring in. So I hope he's the guy for multiple reasons. You know what I mean? Let's see. Get some other comments we got in here. No expectations should be good. Yeah, man, I agree. It's been a while, man. It's been a while since we've had no expectations. It's been a long, long time since the Browns have had no expectations, which is funny to see because when we traded for Deshaun, man, everybody thought that was going to be, oh, we're in it. We traded for Amari Cooper. He had some of his best years with us. Nick Chubb. It sucks, man, that it didn't work out the way we all thought it would. And here, I'm not talking about Deshaun Watson as a person. Like, that's a whole nother can of worms I don't usually like to get into. But as a football player, he was supposed to be the answer, and he certainly wasn't. Freaking generational fall off. I've never seen anything like it. Goes to show you that the mental acuity and health and like confidence of a quarterback matters almost as much as athletic ability. Samu says 12 to start and have a great game. I certainly think so. I think he's poised for a great game. I apologize if I mispronounced the name, but thank you for joining. Thank you so much for joining. If you're new here, please like the video, subscribe. If Cleveland wins 4 games, they might be out of the top 3 picks. Yeah, it's a possibility. We won while we traded back. We won 3, and then initially we were the 2nd overall pick. But every draft is different, Q-Dog. I hope we have, through the Jags or us, a top 5 pick again just because of Caleb Downs or like a talented defensive end. It's not a super stellar wide receiver class next year. But I'd love like a Carnell Tate on this team to help out a young quarterback like Shedeur Sanders. We have some young guys with some potential on the team right now, but no, like, outside of Jerry Jeudy, no, like, other guys that I'm like, oh, yeah, that dude's going to be a quarterback, quarterback's best friend out there. It's just not. We don't have anybody like that at the moment outside of Jerry Jeudy. Love Christ, as do I. Says, Law will be funny when the Manning family NFL doesn't let Manning even come to the Browns. I don't even think that's on the table. He's not coming out for 2 years. And Haslam even said that himself. If you want to talk about like devil's advocate kind of stuff, and like worst case scenario, if Shedeur isn't the guy, if Dylan Gabriel isn't the guy, and the Browns end up having to draft a quarterback, it's going to be next year because of the class, because that they have 2 first-round picks. So like, and next year's class, I like next year's class. I just hope Shedeur Sanders is the guy, and I don't need to worry about that. But if he's not, Cade Klubnik, big fan of him. Garrett Nussmeier, LSU's quarterback, with another year behind his belt. Lenore Sellers, Drew Aller with another year behind his belt. It's going to be harder to kind of gauge what Drew Aller is going to be or do, just because Penn State's wide receiver room sucks. Like, I'm sorry. It's not very good. I know Singleton went back, and he's an excellent running back, but for the most part, like, Penn State's offense is kind of anemic. Let's see. Did I miss any comments? Well, folks, we're at the 43-minute mark, so I'll kind of open this up to just Q&A. So if you're new here, please like, subscribe, and share this video. Greatly appreciate it. We'll go into the Q&A section. So if you're watching this and you have a statement or question, I'd be more than happy to answer it to the best of my ability. So feel free to put that in the chat. I'm going to be just answering questions until questions run out. So I'm a Jags fan. Slow up, bud. Jags 10 wins. Will Hunter, by the way, Browns could have had Hunter and Sanders. I know. Don't remind me. I was actually joking with Joseph about that. It pisses me off, bro. Like, here, we got an extra first out of it, and we got Quinshon Judkins. Like, look, I'm not going to talk about him as a person. I'm not. I think it's despicable. If the allegations are true, it looks like they might be. Absolutely despicable actions by Quinshon Judkins. But as a football player, I think Quinshon Judkins is going to be good. I think he's going to be a pretty good starting caliber running back. And if you get that and a player like Mason Graham and another first-round pick next year, I think it's worth it. And you still end up with Shedeur Sanders. But yes, the fact that we could have had Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter on the same team hurts. Like, I really wish we could have gotten him, man. But, the Browns have a lot of holes, especially on defensive tackle. We haven't been able to figure out, and that's so important to a Jim Schwartz-led defense, man. And also with JOK out for an undisclosed amount of time, we needed another kind of like star in the middle of that defense, and Carson Schwessinger looks like he can be it. So, yeah, man. I think it's just because Browns had a lot of holes. Like, would it have been awesome to have Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders on the same team? You bet. That would have been friggin' awesome. Covering that in the offseason would have been nuts. But, like, dude. Penn State did bring in some wide receiver transfers, but ain't nobody stopping Jeremiah Smith and the Bucks for the next 2 years. Keep dreaming. Goddamn right they are. There's not another team in the Big Ten. I think Oregon is going to be competitive. They always are. They have a good program out there. But, yeah, overall, I don't think there's going to be anybody in the Big Ten to really challenge Ohio State for the foreseeable future. Make sure I didn't miss any questions. Doesn't look like it. Well, folks, if there are no more questions, if you have another question, put it in the chat right now, or else I'll be off and away. I'll give you till the 48-minute mark to type out a question. Oh, Joseph has a good one. Stat line prediction for Shedeur and who's going to be the leading wide receiver Friday. I think Jamari Thrash is going to be the leading wide receiver, assuming he's out there. I think he will be. And I'm going to go... Man, really just depends. I'm going to go... Because I only think he'll play a half. Let's say... I'm hopeful. I'm going to say like 15 of 20 and a tutty. 15 and 20 and a tutty, because I think they're going to have him pass a lot. I think they're going to run him a little bit, but I think they're going to pass a lot, and I think the Browns offense is going to have the ball a lot, because even our second-team defense is much better than whatever Carolina's got going on. But yeah, folks, thank you once again so much for joining us this evening. Super excited for this Friday. I will be calling that game. So if you want to hear my boisterous voice reciting the game, tune in this Friday at 7 o'clock Eastern time, and I will be calling that game. I believe Joseph will be as well. Real quick. Most hyped preseason game ever. Goddamn right it is. So if you want to hear me call that game, 7 o'clock this Friday, don't miss it. Thank you so much for joining us. Please like, subscribe, and share this content if you're new here. It helps us a lot. We're trying our utmost to get to 500 subscribers. Helps us get monetized, and then from there, we hope to get to 1,000. And once we hit 1,000, I will be live streaming a tattoo I'm getting that is Browns and Shedeur Sanders themed. Because I am man of my word and I made a bet. So that sounds interesting to you. Subscribe, stick around, all that good stuff. And folks, thank you so much. And as always, I pray and I hope that you stay professional. I love you very much. Good night.